Hello. This is Significant Stones of the Bible, Part 2, and I'm going to be reading in Exodus 28, verse 29. Exodus 28:29 says, "Whenever Aaron enters the holy place, he will bear the names of the sons of Israel over his heart on the breastplate of decision as a continuing memorial before the Lord. Also, put the Urim and the Thummim in the breastplate so that they may be over Aaron's heart whenever he enters the presence of the Lord. Thus, Aaron will always bear the names or the means of making decisions for the Israelites over his heart before the Lord." So, uh, these stones, the Urim and the Thummim, sometimes referred to as the Thurman. They are two stones that are in the breastplate of this um, breastpiece that they wore, the high priest, and they provided a means of making decisions. It's really weird, and it's one of those things that they must have understood by word of mouth, by experience. They did not talk about it in the scripture. If you were to get excited and try to research it, all of your research is going to be hearsay from people who are most likely just making stuff up. So it would be wrong to say anything definitive about what they were and how they were used specifically. General things that you can get from scripture is that it's likely that Urim, I believe the word itself seems to mean light, and some think the word Thummim would have to do with dark, although that seems a little fuzzier. But it would make sense, and so I think people like to lean towards that definition. If the Lord was using it to make yes and no decisions or to convey yes and no answers to the high priest when these means were necessary, then a white stone and a black stone are about as clear if there is a way to uh, if there's a way to highlight one or the other. So, do they ask a question yes or no, and then as they are in the pockets of the breastplate, does one vibrate like when you have your phone on vibrate and you feel the white one is a yes and the black one is a no, and so if one vibrates, you get the yes or no answer. They speculate that maybe it could be that one lit up. There is all kinds of speculation about there being names and words written all over them that lit up. Uh, I don't know. But these are the things you can infer. That is, God preferred to speak to people face to face. When in the garden, he came down in the cool of the evening to take a walk with Adam. He called to him and wanted to speak to him face to face, and that is the preferred means of uh, of God's communication with man. When he can't, when because of our own uh, decisions, our own lifestyles, or our own corrupted nature, when we cannot speak to God face to face, then he uses other means. And there are, in the Old Testament, there were sometimes that God spoke to people in dreams, and sometimes God spoke to people through the prophets, and sometimes and I think the Urim and Thummim come to play only when uh, the other means are unavailable. It seemed, as you read through the Old Testament, you very rarely see them used. Uh, so, and as you get to the New Testament, somewhere between exile, or even maybe even pre-exile, they disappear altogether, and there's no mention of them in the New Testament. So what I'm learning, what I'm getting out of it is that if the Lord needs to speak through a stone, he can make it happen, but he does not prefer to do so. He would prefer to speak to us by a more direct means. And those direct means were hardly available in the Old Testament. In the New Testament, the scripture says that by coming into a relationship with Jesus, we receive the Spirit of God, and he is able to speak to us through that. So the need for the Urim and Thummim disappear. But that still leaves them as really significant, but also really weird stones of the Bible. I suppose I've said hardly anything about them, actually, but there's not much to be said about them. Bye.